TV and KOTV outside Oklahoma City. These are clouds, sadly, like we were watching just a couple of weeks ago, forming in the sky now, and appears to show the meteorologists a tornado forming. They're very concerned about this. Another round of severe weather will hit parts of Oklahoma and Kansas today. The meteorologists and the National Weather Service warning everyone there to be on alert. These are two states that a recent tornado outbreak hit the hardest. A tornado warning is in effect for southeastern Kingfisher and central Logan counties. And we're watching this cloud formation now along with you. The National Weather Service meteorologists continue to detect a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. And actually, they believe one may be forming now. Of course, it's not a tornado till it hits the ground. But this, they believe a funnel cloud is forming here. They've watched the cloud formations and believe, as we watched in this same hour, just before the tornado struck in Moore, Oklahoma and surrounding areas, they believe that one is forming here. So we'll watch. In addition to the tornado predictions, large damaging hail up to golf ball size expected to come with this storm, according to the National Weather Service. Rick Reichmuth, our chief meteorologist, will be along with us to track this storm, tell us where they believe it's headed, what they believe it's capable of doing, and we'll continue to watch these cloud formations. And if we see something dip out of these clouds, we'll bring it to you right away, and we'll all watch together live and hope that this remains over a largely unpopulated area. This particular cell at which we're watching now is over an unpopulated grassland area. No homes in the immediate vicinity, but you know how these tornadoes do. Once they get on the move, they can go for a very long way, and they can become large and menacing. And we know from the experience at Moore, Oklahoma, exactly how bad this can be. I know you watched along with all of us in horror last week. These are pictures as it was forming just a few minutes ago. And these are now live pictures. Those were a few minutes ago that we were watching. This is live. And really all we can do now, Jonathan Hunt, is watch and wait. We were on this program in this time slot. Was it last Monday? All the time seems to come together so quickly.
Yeah, it was a week ago Monday, and you just hope and pray that this does not form into the kind of terrible tornado that we saw that day strike Moore, Oklahoma, and the devastation that you and I witnessed there, Shep. Just realizing the sheer power of these things is frightening.
And that one formed pretty quickly. I told the story, so many of you have similar stories of watching these things form in the sky. And sometimes you'll watch them over the Gulf of Mexico. They happen, it seems like every day in South Florida and along the southwest coast of Florida. You'll see a funnel cloud come down. We used to watch them on the Caloosahatchee River, and they really wouldn't do very much usually, thank goodness. But in the Midwest, you know, they form differently, and they pack up much more powerful winds, and they increase to enormous size. As you know, the one that struck in Moore, Oklahoma was more than a mile wide, up to 2 miles wide, according to the authorities there. In some points, we flew over the area that it hit, and it's just mind-boggling. Winds above 200 miles an hour, faster than 200 miles an hour, just picking up everything they hit, crushing homes and depositing what's left of them in other places. They found remnants, as they always do, of people's homes tens of miles away. Our meteorologist, Rick Reichmuth, has been watching this along with us, and his point has been a simple one. We're in an unpopulated area, and that these things happen all the time in unpopulated areas. The vast majority of these, obviously, happen in unpopulated areas, and they just go hardly noticed. But if you remember seeing the pictures from the air in Moore, Oklahoma, how it had picked up even the grass, and everything was brown because the entire layer of sod had been churned up and brought, and because of all the rain that comes along with it, the dirt that's left behind becomes mud. So the tornado then picks up the mud. And one thing that you knew as you drove around Moore, Oklahoma and the surrounding areas when we were there last week was which cars were there when it happened. Even if they weren't hit by the tornado, you knew if they were nearby because they had these huge dirt clods on the side of the cars. As you would drive around town, some cars would still have these clods of dirt stuck to them. They had dried out in the baking sun of the next day, and it just kind of stuck on everybody's car. And you go by the car washes, which are everywhere, and nobody would be using them because, frankly, people had a lot more important things to do than wash the stuck mud off their car. Now dirt clods off their car. My point in all of this is so many people were affected beyond those who were just whose homes were lost and who sadly lost relatives in this thing. The effects are far and wide. And again, as we watch this, the telltale signs are there, according to the meteorologists. You watch this, the front, the cold air combines with the warmer air. You get a downdraft of cold air and an updraft of hot air. And as those two things compete against each other, they just begin to swirl. And the down push and the updraft, and away they go. And it just picks up everything around. We've got a storm chaser watching this thing with us as well. Greg Johnson is on the line with us. Greg, where are you and what are you seeing?
Well, we're just north of Oklahoma City right now, and there's a tornado warning, and this storm has all the hallmarks of one that's going to produce a large damaging tornado. Right now, we've got a rotating wall cloud, and it's heading east towards the city of Guthrie, Oklahoma. So very dangerous situation.
So that cloud that we see in the air, though it hasn't formed a cone and come down out of the cloud banks itself, it's rotating up there now. And the fear is that it'll keep spinning and come and touch down. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I mean, this is, as a storm chaser, as a meteorologist, to see this formation in the sky, this is what tells us that there's a tornado imminent. And so, you know, the number of people that are out here right now watching this area of the storm is incredible.
I suppose that, well, what we hope is that this rotating cloud will just remain up in the sky and won't touch down. But I guess when it gets this severe, when the atmospheric conditions are as they are today, that's hope, and that's really not a strategy.
Well, you know, this is actually a very densely populated area, and so any tornado that forms in this area is definitely going to do damage somewhere, unfortunately.
See, it was my understanding, I'm sorry, Greg, it was my understanding that this is a largely unpopulated area. That's what they were telling me from the helicopter.
Well, it's unpopulated in the sense of like downtown or metro core, but this is definitely suburban territory where you've got lots of acreages and homes and a number of small towns in the path of this storm.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. I'm sorry to hear that. As we're watching live, the rains are kicking up around this helicopter, and the cloud formations are changing.
Yeah, and you know, this has been a really terrible 2 weeks in this area of Oklahoma, with a couple of deadly tornadoes, obviously, that have happened in the last week and a half, and sure don't want to see anything like that happen again today.
Yeah, I hope not. Our station KOKH has a guy on the ground watching this. Let's listen. They're driving along here.
So you're pulling off would not be a bad idea. Are you trying to go? Is this what kind of road are you going down now? It looks pretty dirty and.
Dirt road.
Dirt road. Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Please stay on that, and then just so I don't know if you're seeing what we're seeing here. However, the reports that are coming out right now is that these low levels just cannot get organized. Okay, so it's a rotation. It's deep in the mid levels. Okay, but remember the base of the storm has to be rotating. Okay, not just the mid levels. Okay, the middle of the storm. The low levels also have to be rotating, and that takes a significant updraft and a lot of other things to happen. So, Mike, you still with me?
Yeah, and there's not a lot of inflow coming in right now from where I'm at. It's really calm, actually.
It's really calm.
Nothing at all. So, yeah.
Good news. Okay, so but you're looking right at the rain-free base, right? Okay, you're looking at the rotation right there. Thanks for zooming in on that. And Mike, I just say, please hang out, stay on that storm. You're in a very safe spot, obviously. And also, what's in the path of this? I see a lot of, I see fields. I see a lot of empty farmland. It looks like.
It's going to be well, and it looks like the actual wall cloud looks like it's moving due east now. Actually. Okay. That'd be pretty close to the north sides of Guthrie up there, part of the old town up there, from what I'm looking at. And it may look a little worse on the stream than what you're actually seeing, but I have a really good view on it right now. I can see the whole storm, so I can tell you right now there is not a tornado on the ground at this time.
Great. Thank you, Mike, for verifying that for us.
And that from KOKH, our station there in Oklahoma. But look at this other feed that we're getting. This is the helicopter we were watching just a few minutes ago. This is from KWTV and KOTV, our network news service affiliates, and we really appreciate all the help that they've given us with pictures and over the last week and a half. They've been more than kind to us, and our thanks to our friends there and all the journalists of their organization. Watching this, it just, Jonathan, you watch this thing form and realize it's due east of Guthrie, well, it's headed east toward Guthrie. Which is a good-sized little town, and you just hope that here at 10 minutes after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this isn't about to turn into something much worse. Rick Reichmuth is on the line. Our chief meteorologist is with us, and the locals there, Rick, at KOKH and beyond, are saying that right now it's kind of calm.
Yeah, the local meteorologist there was just saying you have to have that rotation on the surface as well. And if you're not getting that in all the levels of the atmosphere, you're generally not going to get the tornado. That doesn't mean that that can't develop very quickly. And what you're seeing on that picture right there is a wall cloud that drops from the main cloud. And that's exactly where you would see a tornado dropping right there. We had the one person saying that there are some small towns in the area. There are definitely houses that are part of ranches. This is to the north of Oklahoma City, though. So we're not talking about that exact same area, the urban area that got hit just last week. But a very kind of ominous thing if you're seeing that, Shep. At this point, fortunately, we're not seeing that low-level rotation, but there's a tornado warning on the storm. Doppler radar indicating there's enough rotation in the storm that potentially could drop a tornado right in that area. There's one cell, I got to tell you, though, I want to go just to the south, and this is a little bit more concerning to me for the populated area. If you guys can real quickly, I know you don't want to get off that shot, but show the maps as well. There's one cell just to the south of Oklahoma City, southwest of Oklahoma City, a different storm than what you're looking at, and that storm would be headed very close to the Norman and to the Moore area, that potentially being there, say, in about 30 minutes. If that storm, you see right there where it's just at Chickasaw, very close to Moore, that storm is not tornado warned at this point, but these are individual cells that can start to get rotation on them very rapidly, and that would be a storm that would be going right through the area that was hit last week. That picture you're seeing there on the left of your screen, that's the one that you see just to the southwest of Stillwater. And again, at this point, not dropping a tornado, not dropping a funnel cloud, and not hitting the ground at this point, and that's the good news.
It's been interesting, Rick, to watch that a couple of minutes ago, the shot on the left-hand side of the screen there. All the rain was on the left-hand side, and well, most of it, and then some on the right, and no rain under that cloud. Is that indicative of this rotating cloud at the mid-level?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, it would fully depend on the angle that you're seeing that from. And so that other picture that we had on there before, I think was coming from a different angle. And if you're on the other side of that wall cloud right there, you're going to be seeing likely some hail that's up to about golf ball size, I think, with this storm, and certainly the rain. But these guys right here are taking this shot probably from the southeast of the storm, and they're getting a clear shot without any rain obstructing that view.
Is this an unusual amount of tornadic activity? I know that before the tornado hit Moore and the surrounding area, the actual number of tornadoes we've gotten this season had been historically low.
It had been. We had a really quiet spring tornado season. May, however, is the peak of tornado season, and the peak of tornado season happens right in Tornado Alley, and this is exactly where these are happening. So no, to be honest with you, this is kind of what we typically should be seeing this time of year. What we have been getting, though, is these storms have been so close to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City having such great meteorologists in that area, they're so prepared for these storms, and they've got their choppers, and we're getting these afternoon storms, and we're getting live shots of tornadoes like we haven't gotten in previous years. And there's also so many more storm chasers out there on the road. We're getting a lot more information, and the good part of all of that is I think we're also saving lives in the process.
Well, I certainly hope so. You know, people outside of Moore, we all made a point of mentioning that they had 16 minutes notice. For people who haven't lived in tornado areas, that may not sound like a lot, but Rick, 16 minutes, that's a lot of warning.
It's especially a lot of warning when you had a day that everybody was so aware that there were severe storms in the area. So you're already on alert, and then you get that 16-minute notice, and to have 24 fatalities, and that's a tragedy. But when you see the damage, I was there, you were there, and you see all that kind of damage, it's those warnings that help people. In Oklahoma City, again, they're so good at this kind of thing. Yeah,
they're certainly very good at covering it and predicting it. They have terrific equipment there, and we would watch as they'd be able to say, all right, you here on 134th and 10th Street, it's going to hit you in 2.5 minutes. I mean, they were getting that kind of pinpoint warning.
Yeah, it's a matter of the radar's getting good. A lot of our weather tools are getting better and better. Our mapping technology is getting good, and people have taken to storm chasing so much, and with social media, you can get really great tracks on exactly where these storms are. I got to tell you, watching that picture on the left of your screen there, the fact that we have not seen even really any attempt at any kind of a funnel forming here, that is good news with that storm. You just see that wall cloud that is hung right there, but nothing else happening with it at this point, and that's great.
No, it's not. Rick, when we were here last Monday, a week ago Monday, and we watched a similar sort of thing, and this one little sliver of a thing coming down out of the clouds, and then it touched down, it looked very small, and it just kept growing and growing and growing, and then all of a sudden you saw the debris field. I guess we watched it for upwards of 30, 40 minutes. I don't remember ever seeing one live and constant like that.
Yeah, you know, the only one that makes me think kind of a similar thing, and we didn't see it form in the same way, but was 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa, where we had that live picture. I think it was during Fox Report that you had that live picture of the tornado cutting right through town there. That was the only other time that I've seen something like that. But you're right, these